Here are 3 bits of context that you can use for an inspector calls. If you're doing last minute revision, check out my last minute revision pack for an inspector calls, which contains all of this, which is pretty much everything you need to get yourself exam ready in under 2 hours. So the first and probably the most important bit of context to be aware of is that it's set in 1912 and written in 1945. And this is really important because a lot of the references in the play in terms of the Titanic and the war would have been relevant to the 1945 audience, who would know that the Titanic sunk and not only did World War actually happen, but that happened twice. The second bit of context to be aware of is that in 1912 there is a very rigid social hierarchy based on the class system. So it's very difficult for people to rise in the ranks, and basically if you're born into the lower classes there is no way to improve your social status. You can marry up slightly, which is what we see with Mr. Burling marrying Mrs. Burling and Sheila marrying Gerald, but these are small jumps, right? You wouldn't ever have somebody like Eva Smith marrying someone like Gerald. It just wouldn't happen. And the third bit of context is that Priestley himself was a socialist. So this biographical information about him helps us to understand why he's presenting things in the way that he does and why he's pushing these socialist values. Remember, the most important thing with context isn't actually the amount of context that you put into the essay, but how well you implement it. So you actually want to think about how does this information help us to understand the choices that Priestley made and the effect it would have had on the original audience. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments.